What's going on? Will Freeman, RevolutionaryLifestyleDesign.com, talking to you today about why conditional happiness is crushing your soul. Okay, this is so important. This was a major revelation for me last year. And what I mean by conditional happiness is putting conditions on what makes you happy. Like if you look at a little kid, like a little kid can be happy with food, playing with a balloon, hugging their mother. There are thousands and thousands of things that can make a little kid happy. Like it's super easy to make a little kid happy. You can dangle some keys in front of them, or they can just be content, just sleeping or sitting peacefully. They have not learned to put conditions on their happiness. They're not worried about the wallpaper on their house. They're not worried about what kind of car they drive. They're not worried about how they look in other people's eyes. They don't even have concepts for that. So it wouldn't even be possible to put those conditions on their happiness. And as we age, we are taught by society and by our parents, teachers, all these other people, all these conditions that we're expected to meet in order to fit in, but even more than that, in order to be successful, and then we feel like worthy of love if we meet all these conditions. And if you're a self-improvement guy, like I am, you probably have more conditions on your happiness than the average person. You're probably harder on yourself than the average person. Like this whole video is just going to be an explanation of the concept of something that I'm not even really good at. I'll be honest with you. Like unconditional happiness or less conditional happiness is something I struggle with. And I'm a coach at this. Okay, which is why I say I'm more lifestyle design, lifestyle strategist than life coach. I actually hate that term. I prefer to focus on the external structural stuff and then do the mind work. But the mind work is super important, and this concept is super important. So I just want to give you the concept, and then I want to let you work with it. I mean, maybe you're better with it than I am, setting less conditions for your happiness. So the way that this crushes your soul is the older you get and the more successful you get, the more you need to feel happy. You're like, okay, I need to be growing in my business. I need this girl. I need this kind of apartment. I need this car. I need to wear this suit. I need to be looking at this physique. I need my skin to look good. I need, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on and on and on. And, that's just like for the regular day. Right. And then there's the future stuff that you're planning. And if you're kind of intelligent, you're pretty good at planning for the future and the contingencies. And we're in a lot of chaos right now. And so that affects your happiness level as well. You're trying to predict all these things for the future and the currencies, all that kind of stuff, creating, trying to maintain that conditional happiness into the future. And if you can't see a clear path of conditional happiness in the future, or you've got a relative that's sick and that will affect your future conditional happiness, that all of a sudden affects your present conditional happiness, because you focus on so much on creating these structural conditions. So this video is really for you if you're tied into that productivity cult, like not wasting a spare moment, always achieving, always working. I mean, that's something that I was truly guilty of, and still am guilty of in some ways, falling back into that trap. And it's a battle to fight off that conditional happiness. That's why I want to give you what the aim should be. And again, I'm not an expert in this area. I feel like I'm better at understanding and the philosophy of it than I am at doing it in practice, but it is a work in progress. I'm getting better at it. I'm consistently getting better at it. And that's unconditional happiness, okay? And unconditional happiness is love. Happiness and love are the same emotion, whether it's for a girl or a cheeseburger or anything in your life. When you feel happy, you're feeling love. If you love something, when you're feeling love for that person, place, or thing, you feel happiness, same emotion, okay? Unconditional happiness is where there's no conditions on your happiness. And I truly believe that the source of all of us is love. God is love. Where we come from is love. This place right here, these bodies that we're in are temporary, but our souls are eternal. And that's why we have that constant yearning, that constant craving for that joyful bliss and love and peace and warmth and calm, because that's our true nature. But it's difficult to achieve in this world when we're stuck in what Eckhart Tolle calls these pain bodies that absorb all these sensations and that can get hurt. And we're dealing with all kinds of crazy events and news and everything. So that conditional happiness, that true pure love, that true oneness is difficult to find in this plane. I don't know how many planes of realities there are, but I know that in this one it's difficult. But you'll see with like great beings like Christ, he was able to overcome that entirely. And he really only had 2 commandments: love God and love your brother like yourself. Okay, that is unconditional happiness at its core, because he's literally like, I'm not putting any conditions on my love. It's not like love God and love your brother if they love you back, or if they pay you back, or if they invite you to their birthday party. It's like, no, I'm removing conditions to happiness. I'm removing all the conditions to happiness, and I'm moving my soul towards that pure love. Ramana Maharshi, another very influential person to me, spoke in terms of love and compassion, because he saw everyone as himself. He removed the conditions. Okay, you can call this spiritual enlightenment, you can call it union with God, moksha. This is what I believe that the saints have achieved. And I mean, it's obviously a difficult thing to achieve in this life, but I'm just trying to give you what I think is our true source and what true unconditional happiness is. That being said, if you're not spiritual, if you have no interest in that, you can still look at your life and think like, what conditions can I remove to being happy here and in the future? And the best way to do that is just look at like the benefits of something. Like every negative has a benefit. Even this COVID thing, like I had a trainer, or a client of mine who's a personal trainer, and we were doing well. We were doing cold calling and knocking on doors, and we were getting him clients, and it was going quite well. COVID hit. We had to flip the script, move him online. And now, because of that, stuff that we would have been doing maybe a year from now, we're doing now because we were forced to. And his online business is growing like crazy. His Instagram's growing like crazy. He's going to blow up pretty soon. Online clients are coming in. We advanced the model significantly because we're not focusing on offline anymore. Just a small example. There's always a benefit to every scenario, if you can find it, if you can look for the benefits. And even if you're having a bad day, you can just be like, okay, let me stack up all the reasons why I'm going to win. Let me stack up all the benefits that I have, so I can get to a place of gratitude. And gratitude is thankfulness and love, if it's gratitude towards God or just gratitude towards whatever you want. And that's the same as love to me. Love, gratitude, and happiness, those are the same emotions. So if you can get to that place by listing the benefits, you're good. Even if you don't have a lot of money, even if you don't have a lot of things going for you, like some of the best people at practicing unconditional happiness are people who don't have money, or who have taken a vow of poverty and live in a monastery. They've removed themselves from those sources of conditional happiness. But that might not be right for you. You might want to do what I do, which is health, wealth, relationships, lifestyle. But focus more on the benefits, and focus more on saying like, what are all the conditions that I've listed for myself that are hurting me right now, that are hurting me in terms of my happiness? And write those down and see where your pain sources are, and see where your triggers are, and see if you could be like, I'm going to remove this from a condition of my happiness. I'm going to remove this arbitrary thing for like, I need X, A, B, C, D, E, F, G to be happy. I had a client who was looking to make $100 million. And when we dove into his subconscious, it was basically like, he's not going to be able to let off the gas pedal and stop feeling anxiety and stop beating himself up until he makes 100 million 12 years from now. That wasn't something he knew consciously, but when we dove in there, that's what we found. Okay, so massive amounts of condition for him to not feel anxiety, and for him to feel 100% worthy. But the reality would be, like, even if he hit that goal, and I think, he's going to hit at least 30 million. I've got some real young killers that I'm coaching right now. After 10 years of not practicing unconditional happiness, guess what? That goal is going to make him excited for a few months, and then it's back to, the next condition. Good to set goals, right? But also good to be happy with the conditions that you have. Be happy with things as they are. Be grateful for things that you have now, which, like, if you're like me, like, you might not even want to hear that, like, it's even saying that is kind of hard, but I know it's the truth. I know it's the truth because I spent so long putting so many conditions on my happiness, so many. And all that does is hurt you. So you can have goals, but you want them to be inspiring. Like, oh, all these cool things that I'm going to get in the future, but I'm trying to be as happy as I can now with the conditions that I'm in now. A spiritual practice is super helpful for that too. Like, putting your burdens on God if you can, asking for help, especially now with all the craziness that's going on in the world, I think is certainly beneficial. But if that's not for you, man, I really just, what I want is like to hit you with this concept. I think I got it again from Dr. DeMartini, or some of it from him, and some of it was my own thinking, conditional versus unconditional happiness. But probably the biggest revelation I've had in the last year or so is this. So I really want you to internalize that. And I would love you to sit down and think about all the reasons why you're winning, all the benefits you have right now, all the future benefits you're going to get from your goals, and also to list all the conditions that are in the way of you being happy right now, and seeing, okay, can I have practical solutions to that? Yes. But can I also have mental solutions to that, where I'm like going to remove this as a condition for me feeling self-love and self-worth, and start thinking like, you love yourself as you are. You're enough as you are. You're worthy of love today. You don't have to wait for that love 10 years in the future, or that self-love when you have X, Y, Z. So I hope you found this useful, man. You might want to watch this a couple of times because the concept's super important. Okay, the concept of this is the most important thing. And again, I'm not an expert on actually being the happiest person in the world. The happiest person in the world that I know of is a monk, is a Buddhist monk, Mathieu Ricard, I think. And he was measured. They set up machines to measure his neurochemistry. And he's a Buddhist monk who lives in the Himalayas practicing compassion meditation. So that should tell you something. He hacked the system there. Same with all the saints, really. They practice love, they practice compassion, they remove conditions from their happiness. And I suggest you do the same as much as you can, so that you can be happier and more loving and more fulfilled and more peace and less anxiety. If you want help creating any of these solutions, or you need help with anything, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching. Check me out. Much love to you. Really appreciate your support, and hope you're doing well.